Let me get my head together here. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Dave, welcome to Surfing Stuff. It's an absolute pleasure to have you on here today. Thank you for making the time. And welcome to the show. Introduce yourself and we'll get into what we need to cover, man.
Hey, Carl. It's nice to see you again, chat with you. Epic. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me on.
No, lekker. To have a great surfing characters playlist on my YouTube channel wouldn't be complete without another Renaud in there. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Right.
Dave, I've got a couple of things I want to bring up with you, but I think just firstly, you've just fresh off a trip back from the Maldives and Indo. Is that right?
I was in Sri Lanka.
Sri Lanka. Yeah.
And then I was in the Mentawai Islands, and then back in Sri Lanka. So in our European winter time, I'm out there.
Okay.
For around a 6-month period, back and forth, coaching clients and.
Yes.
Yeah.
And did you score? Did you get some epic days, or was it all myth, or how was it this time?
No, it was unbelievable. So this time of the year on the south side of Sri Lanka, it's every single day. There's waves every day, offshore every morning, offshore most evenings, and there's just consistent fun waves. You know, it's not like Indo waves, but rippable fun. Sunny, 30-degree air, 30-degree water.
Oh, goodness.
3 to 4 feet, 4 to 5 feet every day. It doesn't stop every single day. It's crazy. So it's a really easy place to do coaching.
Okay.
And then I was in Macaroni's, in the Mentawai's Macaroni's Resort, which is classed as one of the world's most high-end resorts. They really lay it on. It's a for-sure bucket list resort, unbelievable, and obviously Macaroni's is regarded as the world's most rippable fun wave. You know, so we had that unbelievable. This was my 3rd year there. I spent a month, mid-Jan to mid-February every year. They hire me to come and manage and deal with their clients.
Okay. With
a couple other coaches, so we have a really strong team. And man, we've had waves every year. It's just been epic, but this year was just unbelievable.
Really, eh?
Off season, it was just firing. Like, we had some solid 10 to 12 feet days. It was like kind of scary out there.
Gee whiz. And like barreling, Dave, like brunch, like
proper, as good as Macaroni's gets. Like, it's an insane left, peeling reef point.
Gee
yeah,
whiz.
so it's been a lot of fun. And I'm back home in the UK for a month, and then I go back to Sri Lanka for April.
Okay.
And then June, July, South Africa. August, maybe back to Sri Lanka, up to the East Coast. And then September, Maldives. And then after that, I'm not sure.
Okay. And Bantam Surfing Academy, where does that fit in? Ranj, or is that not fitting in at all? How does that work?
I sold out my share to my brother.
Okay.
Just after COVID, I think, around there. So I'm not involved with Bantam Surfing Academy any longer. I did help set it all up, and as you know, did a lot of years there, 10, 12 years there. But no, I'm not involved there now. Pat runs that entirely on his own.
Okay.
Occasionally I pop in and do a few lessons here and there, you know. But no, nothing to do with it any longer.
Okay. Right. Hey, Ranj. I got the stock standard opening question. Where did it all begin for you? I'm talking surfing now. Where did it all begin? When and where, Dave? Tell us. Talk to us, bro.
Umhlanga Rocks, bro. Granny's Pool, Ski Boat Club at Umhlanga, Life Saving Club, right there. My dad used to fish a lot and crayfish a lot. He was always on the beach. Parents were always on the beach. So I think I learned to surf in Granny's Pool where the ski boats launch out. I had this like 4'2" knee board that was like almost wider than it was long, and with this big square tails twin fin that I couldn't carry. It was way too heavy.
She was.
And my mom would carry it down to the beach and we'd surf that. I think we just eventually just left it at the club and it was just too much to carry around. But I remember learning to surf with the honey sets off the rock ledge. We used to catch these little reforms and ride in Granny's pool. And then we progressed to Main Beach. Slonga, bro.
Okay. And then, now, Runge, when was this? Was this early 70s, late 70s? When about?
I was about 7 or 8 years old, so probably started surfing in 1972, around there. I'm 60 now.
Yes.
It's been a long haul, bro.
Oh, 60.
A lot of waves.
Like I said before we came on here, when I saw on Facebook the other day that you're knocking on 60s door, I was like, geez, bro, I was at your 50th at the Crab Shell. We went like a decade ago, bro. Unbelievable, eh?
It's crazy. Time flies, bro. You got to make the most of it every day. Just there's always another wave, hopefully.
Yeah. She was. Yeah. So you've been in the game a long time, Dave. Long time.
Well, it's just part of my life, you know. Surfing just became part of life, really. I mean, and what a blessed one. It's been amazing.
Yeah.
So, no point in changing that. Just keep on
keeping oning. Okay, Raj. Yeah. This leads into what we've just spoken about. Leads into my next thing I want to chat to you about. Your first custom board. Talk to me about that, and then I want to spend a little bit of time just talking about your equipment over the years, and ending up with where you're at now. So what was your first custom, Raj?
Well, I tell you what, I can't go on without mentioning the first board I ever had, and it was organised by my cousin Hilton Wade, who was a bay of plenty surfer, part of the crew, part of that tight knit crew that they all did really well with product at Gotcha and everything else. But I remember waking up one Christmas morning and there was this bright orange Holmes Brothers surfboard, boat nose thing, an absolute dog, but the best board I've ever had in my life. That thing, when I saw that thing lying under the tree, I think it was the happiest day of my life. That board, I had that thing for a good few years. And then my first custom board was a Safari, single fin. I think it was probably about 6 foot, pintail, round pintail, single fin. And it was white with chocolate brown rails. I don't know why the hell I had chocolate brown rails on that board.
Yes, this is brilliant.
Yes, but that board, that was like, I don't know, that was heaven getting that thing. I remember going in there and sitting with Graham Hines and Spider and ordering this board. Couldn't believe it. And the thing came, got that thing, it was 109 Rand.
No ways.
But back in those days, that was a lot of money. My old man had to sickle to get that thing for me. It was, that was a lot of cash back in those days. You know, mind you, compared to what boards are now, I suppose it's relative. But that was it, bro. That thing was my dream board. Rode that thing into the ground.
She was. Rans, you mentioned that first board, that Holmes. Was that Daryl Holmes?
I don't know their first names, but they're two brothers. They're actually still going.
Oh,
I don't think they make boards anymore. I think they're more clothing and stuff like that. But that board, was a Holmes board. I'm assuming it's from those same dudes. I don't know if it's from someone else, but it was a Holmes Brothers board.
Okay, because there was an Aussie oak. I remember Ant Brods mentioning something about some Holmes character, and he was he was from Australia and he lived on the Bluff or somewhere in Depan, and he was a fantastic shaper. And I believe he passed away recently. I might have that wrong, but Holmes. Yeah,
that could have been. That could have been. I wish I still had that thing, bro. Yeah. It was a classic. It was like a square tail, single fin, that long fin. Orange.
Jeez, bro.
And this weird boat nose, like this weird kind of dome deck.
Jeez.
And a lot of foam.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, so I rode safaris for a while, and then I eventually, Ernie Thompson called my dad in one day, and they put me on the Sean Thompson surfboard team.
Wow.
And if I remember, I think there were a couple of shapers making the Sean Thompson boards. I think one of them was Lonnie Bunn.
Lonnie Bunn, no way.
I think Tickbird Old Hickman, I think he had a hand in there somewhere. They were lacquer boards. We had these Sean Thompson surfboards with the logo on.
Okay.
And we were sponsored by Instinct.
Okay.
Sean Thompson's brand, which was like quite a big thing in those days. Instinct. If you had Instinct, you were styling. And then Gotcha was obviously around, MCD and all that. Yeah, I believe Instinct's making a big comeback now. I think Sean's back on the road with that product.
That's exciting, bro. That's exciting.
Looks good,
yeah. And then Runge, and then in my years working for you at Bantham Surfing Academy, you often spoke about Lyle Coney down the coast, Country Rhythm.
Yeah. Lyle was making a lot of the Sean Thompson boards. You're right. Lyle Coney.
Okay. So,
Rhythm, Country Rhythm. So I rode his boards a lot too. Lyle's boards. He was down in Margate. So we were riding those as well. Boards from Lonnie Bunn, boards from Hickman. So yeah, I was in that sort of those brands. And then eventually, probably the majority of my surfing life was Hooded Villain.
Hooded Villain, okay.
Riding his boards, yeah. Yeah, he made amazing boards, the Hood. Yeah, now and again you'd get a fat dog. It's like something I don't know if he was on the jaw the night before or something, but in those days. But when he got you a good one, man, they were magic, bro. It was just nice to go and hang out with him. Sit with him, you could talk it through, sit there, help design the board, look at different rockers and rails and, thicknesses. And, yeah, it was good fun.
Okay.
Good fun. And they always just, 99% of those boards were magic. They just would go really good.
Okay, and then, please tell me that sometime in your career that you rode Peter Daniels.
Jeez, I didn't, but I had one. I had one board that I picked up in Newquay. It was a 6'2" squash tail. It was a classic kind of like an El Meriki kind of shaped board.
Okay.
And that was when I was doing the Euro tour. Bro, that board was like a money machine. When I was I never used to free surf that board. I used to keep it and only surf it in competition. And that thing it kept me alive.
Jeez, okay. Wow.
It kept me in the paychecks back then. Like when you're surfing the comps in Europe, back then we were a bunch of South Africans cruising around, and really it was just wild. But that board was insane. That's the only Peter Daniels board I've ever had. And actually, I had one more, a 6'6". I think I got it off Richard Eady. He sold me that board. And that thing was a magic barrel board, South Coast barrels, North Coast barrel board. But that magic board got stolen in Spain. Eventually, someone nicked it off near the campsite.
Oh, no. Hey, no,
but Petey used to make mad boards. I mean, his boards were always magic. Huh? Always used to look at them with kind of envy. But I had great boards from Hood, so, it was all good.
Okay, yes. Yes, okay. Runge, I'm going to take you back to your early days once again. When you were a lighty surfing Umhlanga, I'm sure, no doubt, you made your way into town every now and again. In your time, in the early 70s, who was your surfing hero, bro? Like, who was the O, bro, that was like, I want to surf like him?
Umhlanga guys. Oh, they were. You know what? Obviously, like, there were a bunch of surfers in town that we used to look up to. I mean, Sean Thompson was like the key figure, like everyone kind of looked up to him. And there were a bunch of bay surfers, there were a bunch of crew there. Hilton Wade, my cousin, Raymond Robertson used to rip, Mark Price, Michael Savage, Gordon Stevens used to have these crazy retro boards with these quads and stuff, and he was always like this enigma. He was crazy and surfed really well. There were so many like good surfers there. Obviously, my own sort of crew, the Lawsons and Potts and all of them, I mean, we all used to kind of push each other. But Umhlanga Rocks had a crew of hardcore surfers that didn't really compete. They used to a little bit, guys like Leon Detronis, Lee Garrett, Ian Duthie, Russell Lamb, the Honeysett, Stephen Honeysett. You know, those guys were the ones that really sort of kind of pushed us and kind of looked after us. And they were the ones we were always aspiring to be, you know, be like them. And they used to charge, but they used to paddle out in like the biggest waves and just whatever came, they'd go. And then they would like try and encourage us to get out there and kind of, you know, take on the bigger waves. And yeah, so it was always them really that kind of drove us. Really. Lee Garrett was an incredible surfer, really smooth, fast. He used to rip. I wonder where those guys are these days. Still around.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, I never heard of them. It's actually quite lekker to hear some names you never heard before. You know what I mean? Eh?
Yeah, there was a full crew that used to hang out at the Life Saving Club. The old Umhlanga. It's so different now.
Yeah.
Compared to what it was. I mean, that was a real sort of rural little coastal village back in those days. You know, not many shops around. And everyone used to hang out down there at the Life Saving Club. You know, we'd all hang there.
Okay.
And yeah, good fun. Good fun times.
Yeah, I see.
Yeah.
And then, okay, so you, let's go back to you were mentioning on being on tour. So that would have been the 1980s, Ranj?
Yeah.
What tour were you trying? Were you trying to get on the ASP World Tour? You obviously had to qualify. Blah blah blah.
I was trying to get onto that, and there was a whole qualification process that was really difficult to crack it into the ASP. You could surf ASP events, but you had to go through trials.
Oh, geez.
And then I think back then it was only like the top 16 would make, like, they were guaranteed a slot the next year, you know, into the main event.
Okay.
So you could make it into a main event, but you had to go through like 114 surfers before you got anywhere near it. You know? It was like really brutal trying to get into the main events. But it was after Army 1985. I did a few more months on the beach as a lifeguard, 6 months, and then my first international surf trip was to Reunion Island and Mauritius with Dean Krobler.
Okay.
Came back and then I was like, okay, I'm gonna travel to Europe and see if I can compete and get my way up the rankings. So that was about 1986. Landed in Newquay, and then we just surfed the Euro Tour for like 4 years. Got close a few times, but you know, being a South African and still being a South African, I think it's pretty hard for a lot of the kids these days. Like trying to get decent sponsorships and stuff to get out there. But yeah, 1986 to about 1980, 89, 1985, 86, 89, 90.
Okay. And who was your? Did you have like a touring partner, or was there a group of you oaks on the road, or did you just solo the whole jawl? How was it for you?
No, we had a gang, bro. We had a it was like you couldn't do it solo. Like we were always kind of like, there was a pot of money, and like the pot of money would go in there, and priority was beers, then food, and then petrol. You know, for the car, kind of like that. You know, like accommodation wasn't quite necessary.
Jeez.
We just a lot of sleeping on the beaches and random places, and geez, it was.
Are you at liberty to mention names?
Sorry?
Are you at liberty to mention names?
Yeah, it was mainly Steven Anderson.
Okay.
Stephen Millington and myself, we were like the guys that were like competing through the whole of the Euro Tour. And then there were guys like Darrell Johnson, Dean Hudson. They kind of joined and surfed a few events, but they were more over there, like just having a jaw, working in London, coming down to the coast.
Okay.
We were doing all the events, like traveling like from Newquay all the way down to the end of Spain.
Okay.
And there were a lot of events, like pretty much back then. Surfing was like still relative. I wouldn't say new in Europe, but it was booming, man.
Okay.
Like everybody wanted to sponsor an event, and everybody was trying to get their brand out, and it was wild. It was like every weekend, just about, there was a contest. It was always, and we had to pick and choose which ones we wanted,
Wow. Okay.
And we had this crew, and we had this rad little car, this little Ford Escort, and we used to pile all our boards on there, about 15 boards on the roof, and sleep. The boot was like our kitchen, It was wild, and we used to hang in France a lot. We used to hang out in Hossegor quite a lot, and then we'd base ourselves there and kind of move from there up the coast or down the coast whenever we needed to go to an event.
Okay. And Chumi and Runch, in your time doing that, in those that 4 or 5 year period, did you ever meet up with Gary Maysh at all? Gazzo from down the coast.
Yeah. No, I don't know if he did that tour. I think it would have been kind of after.
Okay.
Dave Mulherby kind of came in on the last year that we were kind of heading out. I kind of gave myself a 4-year sort of window, 3-4 year window, and if I hadn't made it, I was going to head home and then go and study and go to Technicon or something and go and do something, which I did. But Herbie came in, and he actually, back in those days, used to have an ASP World Qualifying Champion. And he won it that year. I think it was 1989. He was the World QS Champion. They actually used to give an award for the qualifying series, which is now the QS, and then there's the Challenge Series, and then the World Surf League. Yeah. And I went home, and I can't remember this correctly, but I think I was like fifth seed or something. Fifth.
Oh, right. Okay.
And if I'd gone back and surfed another year, I might have made it onto
into the big time, really.
Tour. Yeah. But I know we weren't chewing numbers. We didn't even know like where we were. Like we had no idea what we were doing, or we were just surfing events, jawling and cruising and hoping for the best, having fun. Yeah, because I think back then, in order to qualify for the ASP, you had to surf you had to garner points from 3 different countries.
Oh,
so
wow.
Europe was really easy. France, Spain, Portugal, England, France, Spain, Portugal, So a lot of the surfers from around the world would come and surf those events because it was kind of easy to kind of qualify from there. And as opposed to flying to America, Australia, all over the place, you could just jump in a van with your mates, go down the coast, surf these events, and get enough points and qualify if you were good enough. And I think I ended up like somewhere where if I recall, I could have maybe qualified, but I'd gone home. I was like, oh yeah, okay, shit.
Jeez, like, wow, man.
Yeah, it was too late to go back and do it all again. But
and then Runch, in your time doing those events, you obviously surfed some ASP. Are you still there, Runch?
Yeah.
Sorry, man, I had a call coming in there. In your time surfing that tour, trying to make it, so did you surf some of the actual pro contests with like Barton Lynch and the Kong and the heroes like that?
Yeah, so I did. In France, there was one in Hossegor. I can't remember who sponsored. It was probably Quicksilver back then, or Rip Curl. and I made it into the main event.
Hey, lekker, man. Wow.
And so I got some points there towards like qualifying. I remember like it was weird because like no one knew who we were. Like we were just on the fringes, you know.
Okay.
And I remember beating a couple of like top pros that were on the tour. Like I think it was Scott Farnsworth and Mark Sainsbury. There was a couple others, and I beat them. And then like, I was like, geez, like who's that dude? Like who are these guys? Like we were actually doing all right, you know. Like we had no expectations. We would just go out there and just surf our heats and have a laugh. And sort of we started to kind of creep our way in there a little bit. You know, when you're sitting up in the podium the tower with all the crew, you know, they'd start to come and talk to you. The more out of curiosity than like actual. Yeah, they wanted to like find out like where are you from? Like what's your story? Like how did you beat that guy? You know, like
okay.
You know, we had one board, they had 20 boards. You know, we living on the beach, they living in hotels.
Gee whiz.
It was wild. It was fun. So I remember like there was a few. There was one in Spain. There was one in Newquay, the Newquay board riders thing.
Okay, that Fistral one.
Yeah, I think that was an ASP event back in the day. I did okay there. I think I made it through to like quarter final or something. It used to be called the Fistral Grand Prix before it became the board riders thing.
The Fistral Grand Prix. Okay.
Yeah. And then I won that one once. I remember winning that one, the Fistral Grand Prix. And then the next year it became the board riders. And I made the final, but it wasn't like the top pros weren't there. It was mainly English and a couple Aussies and South Africans surfing it. And I got an interference.
Oh, lovely.
There was these twin kids there called the Owen brothers, the Owens. And one of the Owens beat me on an interference. So I mean, like we did, it was just contest after contest, weekend after weekend kind of thing back in those days.
Yes, Spree. You must have had some stamina to pull that off, Spree, with all the party in between, eh? Eesh.
Well, yeah, it was kind of wild, but we wouldn't surf them all. We would skip a few here and there because there were a lot of like not worth kind of entering events. But I'll tell you what, there was actually, it was all cash prize money back in those days. Like those would give you an envelope, you know. And I remember one in France where was that? It was a place called Montalivet, not Montalivet, just up past Luckenow. There was a Luckenow Pro as well. I did that. That one did okay in one of those. I think made a few rounds in the main event. That was wild. But yeah, I mean, they used to give us envelopes, bro, with cash in. Like back then, I think I came third and I got like $1,000.
No ways, bro.
That's a lot of money back then, bro.
Jeez, like, bro.
Yeah. Chappie Jennings won it. I think one of the English guys, Grishka or something, was second. I was third.
Hey, 1,000 smackaronis, bro. Woo!
Yeah, back then, bro, that was like, woo, exciting. That was like a whole season worth of money, bro. Back in those days.
Wow, man.
And then the Luckenow Pro, that was like the bigger event down in France in those times.
Okay.
And that's where Byrne was down there, the Lawsons, Tosti, a lot of South Africans were there doing that event, Spowie, all of them.
Okay.
Potts, the whole crew were there. I mean, that was like a big eye-opener for me.
Yes.
And again, they made the main event, had to surf the trials, got into the main events. And I think one or two rounds deep into the main event, and that was like, got a few scalps and happy. That was good enough. for me back then.
Runge, you mentioned Mike Burness. When I was chatting to Greg Swart the other day, Greg mentioned Mike. In fact, a lot of people mention Mike Burness's surfing, and I've never watched Mike surf. I've seen him once, never met the gentleman, not yet anyway. And was he as good as what everybody makes out?
Well, I think at one point he was number 3 or number 5 in the world, and he held that position for a good few years. And oddly, like, he kind of flew under the radar from a. I mean, that guy should have been on multiple covers. You know, he should have been a lot more famous as a surfer, I believe, than he was. And when, like, at the Lucknow Pro, the guys, that was like the big event that we get to surf it. And he used to strike fear into those boats. Like, when the guys drew Mike Burness in their heat, they were cucking, bro. They were like, oh, no, it's Mike. You know, he was
You really? Wow.
He was a fierce competitor, bro. Like, super mellow, cruisy guy on the beach. But in the water, that guy was an animal. He was a fierce competitor. And he had a lightning-fast backhand snap like I've never seen before. He used to do this, like, upside-down, beyond vertical, kind of weird snap backhand thing. He still does it. He must, I don't know how old he is now, but he still can do that thing. And it was, like, ridiculous. And he used to smoke guys, bro. They used to cuck themselves when they had him. He's a funny guy, good guy, Mike. Very fast, super fast.
Okay.
There was one surfer there, a guy called Stuart Bedford Brown, goofy footer, that was, in my opinion, the fastest surfer I've ever seen. That guy could do 3 turns in the space of one normal guy, but like just unbelievably quick. And not whippy turns, like power, proper turns. Stuart Bedford Brown, geez, that guy was good, eh? And Byrne was very similar, like similar kind of style, fast, lanky.
Okay.
Super quick.
So the story I've heard is true. Then Mike Burness, he's the man, bro. He was the man.
Oh yeah, by miles. I put him down as the best surfer to ever come out of South Africa, other than Potts, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, he was technique-wise, that guy was unbelievable. I mean, a lot of South African surfers ripped, eh? I mean, like, you know, hard to separate them. Like, but he was, well, you know, back in those days, I think he did the best out of everyone.
Okay.
Other than Potts. Potts got a world title, and you know, went from 14 years old, Addington Beach, to number 3 in the world or something, like literally overnight. It was like mind blowing. We were like, where's Potts gone? Like, we were all like in the Bay Bowl in Addington, and the next thing, like, hey, there's 3 events, bang, bang, bang. Potts like got second, third, went to number 3 in the world. He was like, okay, someone grabbed him. We're like, you're going to Hawaii, bye. And he was like, we were like sitting there still like in our nappies, bro. And he was like, what?
Jeez.
How did this happen? Yeah, so, you know, there was so much talent in South Africa, like so much, bro.
Okay.
And the guys just couldn't get on tour. Like the guys just, you know, with our political situation, apartheid, so they weren't allowed to travel a lot of the time. The guys that had British passports and things like that, they could get out and do things, but so many South Africans were denied the opportunity of.
That's a tragedy, Dave. Tragedy, man.
Tommy Lawson, you know, like, think about Tommy. Tommy should have won 3 Pipe Masters and 3 world titles easy, in my opinion, you know, easily. He was that good.
Okay.
You know, Peter was good. Peter ripped and good, but you know, he did travel. He did surf the events. Tommy, homeboy, chose to stay at home, and but you know, had Tommy got on tour, wow, I think he could have. You know, he was another Tom Carroll, another Oki kind of in the making. You know.
Okay. Yes, yeah. Wow. He's a super bloke, eh?
Coast to coast. Greg Swart, geez, that kid. Still ripping. Tosti, you know, all that crew. Frankie Oberholzer. Wow. Gordon Turnbull, Roscoe, and then you had the Cape guys. There were some good surfers down there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, Ranj, I want to take you back to Europe just quickly. Your in your time, at your peak, at your when you were the business, bro. What was your biggest or your first major win?
On the Euro Tour, I think it was the Fiscal Grand Prix one.
Okay.
There were some pretty good surfers in that. It was mainly English crew. And then the one in France, getting a third there with also like quite a strong Aussie contingent surfing. Okay. And
what event was that, Ranj?
That was the, I'm trying to remember the name of it now, of course. It was in Montalivet somewhere. I think it was sponsored by Town and Country or something like that. And
okay.
It was just part of the Euro Tour. So I don't think that was an ASP event. It was just part of the European Surf Tour. There were a bunch of events. And then in Spain, I got a second or a third at one event in Peniche. Yeah, had a bunch of seconds and thirds and finals.
Okay.
Not really a lot of wins. The biggest one I had was probably that one.
Nuki.
Down in Nuki.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then on the flip side, Ranj, what was your in that time frame? What was your biggest loss? The one that hurt the most, and to who? Can you remember?
Yeah, definitely the one in the Boardmasters one, getting second on an interference.
Oh my!
Like I'd won it. Like I was like, oh, okay, I got this. And then the kid took off on a wave, like up the top at North Fistral, and I was like kind of like a good 100 meters down the line, and the thing kind of I could see it was closing out.
Okay.
Like the whole long section, and I took off and rode the wave, came in, and I had no idea they marked it interference. I was like, what? In those days, they didn't have that rule where if a surfer wasn't able to reach the point of takeoff of the other surfer,
yeah,
then it wouldn't be deemed an interference. It would be deemed not an interference. So, but now, like a guy can take off on a wave, and you can take off on a wave, provided that surfer wouldn't not have made that point of takeoff. Like it was deemed clearly a closer. But it was a closer, and they marked me down. And I think they did it like because they didn't want some sapper winning it. They'd rather have the English guy win it. It was rigged.
I love that.
You keep always listening, you rigged it, you bastards, for sure. Yeah, but anyway, I mean, that was like a sting because, I mean, like, it wasn't really like a matter of getting the trophy or anything. We needed the money, bro. Our little team needed the cash to keep traveling. So we were like, the boys were cheering on the beach. Yeah, we got money. And then we had like only half the money. It was like, oh, damn.
Gee whiz.
But all good fun.
Yes. Ranj, I can believe. Ranj, I just want to move on very quickly here to not to diminish from that conversation, but I want to turn the direction here into surf coaching, and you speaking of Nuki and the Nuki guys, and bro, there's some good surfers there, bro, in that area. You were at one time I don't know if you still are. You have to help my thinking here. Are you still the head coach for English or England surfing? Are you still involved there?
No. I was for about 10 years.
Okay.
And I was the British head coach for the British team for 3 years.
Okay.
And I got to go to 3 World Games, ISA World Games with the British team. And my role with the England team was just to prepare them basically for the European Championships.
Okay.
And the British Nationals, where we would send an English team to surf against the other countries, Wales, Scotland, Channel Islands.
Okay.
So I handed in my notice a while back. Just also I'd been there so long, man. It was good to see some other younger coaches coming up.
Sure.
Hand the reins over, get the other coaches prepared and up and running. So that that's going really well now. There's funding available. Sport England has dropped chunks of money down, and it's been fed into the federations. So there's quite a lot of development programs happening, which is really good. And there's a good crew of young surfers coming out of the UK.
Okay.
And the British team, they've also had British surfing has had a chunk of cash being put in. So again, there's some really good training programs. They go over to Australia for like 6 weeks of the year, and they do a lot of training camps. And they've got a full-time professional coach, Luke Dillon, who was probably Britain's most successful surfer.
Okay.
Luke, when I say successful surfer, he's won everything in the UK, and he's got a couple of international event wins. There was a surfer, the probably only other one other than Potts that made it onto tour was a surfer called Russell Winter. I don't know if you remember that name.
No, Russell Winter.
He was known as like the British Bulldog on tour. Like he was a fierce competitor. And rips, like the kid rips. He still rips. He's actually out in Barbados at the moment.
Okay.
And just kind of hanging out there. And he went through a period where he kind of didn't surf as much, and I think he's just working or whatever he was doing, but he didn't surf as much. And he just entered some events in Barbados. He made the men's final, came fourth, and won the Masters. And the videos of him surfing, he's ripping. I was like, wow. He hasn't lost a beat, bro. It's shredding. But he was the only other guy for years that actually made it onto the ASP World Tour. He was there a long time.
Okay.
He was a formidable competitor. He's a really good competitor. Luke Dillon, he's now the British head coach. And I think he's in a strong position to help the surfers develop and evolve.
Okay.
And and with the funding and the backing they have, I think in time you'll see some top UK surfers coming out.
That'll be lekker. Yeah. And it's okay. So Ranj, so that was your England surf coaching. Taking it more personally, what's the name of your coaching outfit that you've got, Dave? And where do you've mentioned right in the beginning that you do camps and all that. Can you just run over all that stuff and just help me remember, please, and the people listening?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So I have a brand called howtosurfbetter.com. That does like my pop-up kind of coaching camps, stuff around the UK, and some trips abroad. And then I have Shaka surf camps. That's mainly Sri Lanka. I use that for that only, pretty much. Shaka surf camps, I might add one or two other destinations like the Maldives to that. But How to Surf Better is where I market and advertise any coaching that I'm doing locally or abroad.
Okay.
And then I'll be picking up back again in South Africa with a company that I was a founder of with a very good friend, brother, tragically passed away a few years ago, Justin Starrow, Bird. We started a company called African Safaris, and very sadly, Bird passed away. And we were talking before that about me coming back out. I was showing interest that I wanted to head back out to South Africa for a few months of the year.
Okay.
To spend a bit more time back out there. And we were going to kind of rejoin forces. And he sadly passed away. So I'll be picking that up and running with that, like getting that back up and running again. So that was African Safaris.
Okay. And where is that all? Are you going to travel all over the whole East Coast, Ranj? Yeah,
that's kind of the Durban, Mozambique sort of zone.
Okay.
And then, if J Bay's good, we'll just go down to J Bay or whatever. But mainly up the East Coast, not Cape Town and that area. So mainly like North and South Coast Durban and Mozambique, game parks, that type of thing. So guiding and coaching, there's a coaching element in it. So yeah, those three brands, they all have a different purpose, different angle to them.
Okay.
So, you know, Shaka Surf Camps is all about coaching in Sri Lanka. How to Surf Better is also all about coaching and pop-up tours and camps. Like I've done France, Spain, Portugal, Morocco, Canary Islands, Indo, Mentawais, you know, South Africa. You know, a bunch of tours have fallen under that brand.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I mean that's what I do now. I just spend my time with clients, helping mainly like kind of improve a sort of level, people that can surf but want to improve their surfing. And you know, I coach some pretty high level surfers, like really top high performance surfers, pro juniors and stuff. But I'm not coaching anyone that's actually on tour.
Okay. Yes, Dave, just listening to you speak there, I just got a flashback from the Bantam days. You know, do you ever miss those days, bro? Like those high summers in August, pushing people into waves. You know, that part of the surf coaching experience.
Yeah, you know, like it was fun, but I missed it probably not really. There were a lot of days where, to be fair, it's cold. You know, you're sitting in a wetsuit. You've been in the water for 6 hours already, pushing people up and down. It is a lot of fun, but you know what it's like. It can become pretty tiring and pretty monotonous. And you know, a lot of fun with the little kids and stuff like that. You know, like watching them get stoked on surfing, and you see their smiles and they like whooping and cheering and having a great time. You know, yeah, for sure, that's all a lot of fun. You know, watching people learn to surf and they're smiling and you know, it's like the best day of their life. You know, that's great. You know, and summer in England and Bantam Beach is a beautiful place, and we had a lot of fun down there. You know,
yeah, good time.
It's changed slightly. You know, people have moved on. The families that used to come down, they've kind of grown up and moved on. There's, you know, but it's still amazing. I mean, you know what it's like. It's a beautiful sunny day with a little 4-foot swell running.
Hey, beautiful.
Offshore. It's
man.
magic, you know.
It's awesome, man. Hey, you know, I was just thinking now. I remember some of those days coming. You know, you've just done 2 hours. You're walking up the beach, and hey, you back down for another 2, bro. And then you finish the 2, and you're like, hey, bro, I'm sucked now. See, all I want to do is just go to the gastro bus and pig out. And you get to the top there, and you got your brother already. Hey, round up, you must fire again. And you're like, oh, bro, yes.
And I think, yeah, we've all had to deal with that. You know, like, yeah, those are. You know, you never knew when you're coming up the beach. And exactly. I mean, it would be tiring. You know, you've just pushed 8 kids up and down for 2 hours, pulling people here and there, rescuing the RNLI's out of the rip current all the time.
I was just about to say, also acting like a pro lifeguard for the RNLI. Yeah, yes.
Yeah, those guys are puss useless, bro.
Gee whiz.
We do more rescues than they did, bro. That was unbelievable.
Yeah. No, she was. No, I look back now at those days, and it's funny to look back now. But hey, at the time, bro, there were some days it was like, hey, you wake up in the morning, you just keep annoyed, bro. I got to ride to the beach and push some peckerhead into a wave, and
yeah, it wasn't. Not every summer was sunny and hot. It was a lot of wet, windy, wild, cold. You know, in the middle of summer, it's bloody freezing sometimes. You know,
yeah.
And those were not pleasant days, bro.
Yeah, no, she was
unbelievable.
Yeah. Okay, so Ranj, in wrapping up, so if somebody wanted to get hold of you for some surf coaching, you would be on Insta with that How to Surf Better. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, how to surf better. Like, I think the easiest way to find me is just on Instagram.
Instagram, okay.
How to surf better. And then there's another one called Shaka Surf Camps. You can find me there for Sri Lanka.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, just drop a message in one of those Instagram message boards, and I'll reply.
One time. And then Ranj, this is something new that I'm employing in these interviews. If there was one surfer that you would like to see being interviewed here on Surfing Stuff, who would that be?
Ooh.
I'm talking from the South African flavour. We're staying within the realm of South Africa. That's where our focus is. So out of the South African pool from yesteryear, where we are today, who's one oak that you would like to hear from?
Roche.
He's
Robert Honey.
Okay.
I reckon Roche would be pretty cool. Or one of the Lawson brothers.
Okay.
Peter or Tommy. Yeah. You know what? Like, your podcasts are getting a bit of traction. You know, I think I heard you saying you might get to interview Sean Thompson.
Yes, that's he's indicated he's interested. Yeah.
You know who would be amazing to have on is Potts.
You know, I didn't even think of that.
Martin Potter. You know, we used to all. You know, we're the same age. You know, myself, Tommy, and him. And in the boys division, it was either Potts, Tommy, or myself, first, second, or third. You know, those were my fiercest rivals.
Okay.
Mostly they used to smoke me, but every now and again I'd get one up on them, and it always felt great. And you know, Potts went on to win a world title. You know, like I always look back and think, like, what if? You know, what if Tommy and I had managed to follow him onto tour somehow, and you know, but so we spent a lot of time with Potts. Like we hung out a lot, us three.
Okay.
And Potts moved to Newquay on a British passport, and that's how, you know, he managed to circumnavigate that apartheid issue, ban on travel for South Africans.
Okay.
And so, you know, at heart he's a South African. He's an Addington Beach boy. You know, obviously, you know, that's a lifetime away, but I mean that's where his roots are. It'd be quite cool to hear what he has to say about that those days.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what. I'm going to pencil Potts in, and goodness knows how I'm going to get hold of him, but I'll make every effort too. Yeah, thanks for bringing that up, man. Yeah. Okay, Ranj, time to fire my brew. It's been absolutely nothing short of fantastic having a chinwagger with you. Awesome, bro.
Yeah, it's great fun talking to you, Carl, and you got to come visit, bro. Summer's on the way.
Yeah, it's been many years since I've been in England. 6 years actually. Yeah. I've got to bring my lighties. My little girls and my little lightie need to have a lesson.
Hey, how lucky would it be to take them all surfing now?
Yes, bro. Yeah. No, they're tuning me. They're saying, "Hey, Dad, you know, we want to go. And it's just, to put them on a plane and to fly to England, bro, as a family unit. Hey, that's just not easy, bro. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's just EasyJet, bro. Jump on EasyJet and fly.
Okay, Ranj. Listen, bro, you have a lekker day. We'll catch up soon, eh?
You too.
Sweet.
You too, Carl.
Ciao.
Cheers, mate. Bye.